You think failure is the end. Nah, failure is the beginning. It's the spark that lights the fire inside you. It's the lesson, the test, the challenge, because nothing worth having comes easy. The world will knock you down. It will laugh at your mistakes. But champions don't stay down. Champions use failure as fuel. Listen, I've lost before. I've been counted out. I've heard the critics say he's done. He's finished. But they didn't know one thing: I don't stay down. Every time I fell, I got up stronger. Every loss became my lesson. Every doubt became my drive. When you fail, don't cry about it, train about it. When they doubt you, don't argue, prove them wrong. When you stumble, don't stay down, rise up, fight back, and make them remember your name. Failure is a teacher, and only those who listen to it become champions. You see, losing doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're learning. The pain you feel, that's growth. The struggle, that's your path to greatness. The greatest victories come from the hardest battles. You can't taste success without first knowing the bitterness of failure. But it's your response that makes you a winner. Are you going to quit? Or are you going to come back swinging? Failure is not your enemy. Fear is, doubt is, giving up is, but failure is fuel. Let it burn inside you. Let it push you harder. Let it mold you into something unstoppable. So the next time you fail, don't bow your head in shame, lift it high. Smile, because you just got one step closer to success. And when you finally get there, you'll look back at every failure and realize they weren't failures at all. They were stepping stones to greatness. Failure is not the end, it's the beginning of success. People think failure is a full stop. They think it's the moment where dreams die, where the journey ends. But that's a lie. Failure is not your enemy, it's your greatest teacher. It's not the wall that stops you, it's the door that pushes you to find a new way through. When you fail, you're not losing your learning, you're sharpening your skills, testing your limits, and discovering what it takes to rise. Every great success story starts with failure. The difference between those who make it and those who don't is simple. The ones who succeed don't see failure as the end. They see it as fuel. They see it as the first step, not the last. Think about it. The most successful people in history, athletes, leaders, inventors, visionaries, every single one of them failed before they succeeded. They were laughed at, doubted, knocked down. But they didn't quit. They studied their failures, adjusted, and came back stronger. So when you fail, don't break, don't complain, don't run. Look at that failure dead in the eye and say thank you, because it's showing you where you need to grow. It's giving you the blueprint to become better. Success doesn't come to those who avoid failure. It comes to those who fight through it. The ones who refuse to quit. The ones who take their losses, turn them into lessons, and use them to build something greater. So the next time you stumble, don't see it as the end. See it as the beginning of your rise, your comeback, your success. Every champion has faced failure. What matters is the comeback. Nobody's born a champion. Nobody steps into the ring, onto the field, or into the world of success and wins every single time. Every champion, every legend has tasted defeat. They've been knocked down, doubted, and counted out. But what separates them from the rest? They refuse to stay down. Failure is not what defines you. Your response to failure does. You see, champions don't let a loss break them. They let it build them. They don't dwell on what went wrong. They focus on what they can do better. They take every punch, every setback, every moment of doubt, and use it as fuel to rise again. Think about it. Some of the greatest athletes, fighters, and leaders in history have lost battles, missed opportunities, and made mistakes. But they never let those failures become the final chapter of their story. They made a choice to fight back, to train harder, to come back stronger. A real champion doesn't just win when things are easy. A real champion finds a way to win when everything is against them. They rise from the ashes of defeat and prove that a loss is just a temporary setback, not a final verdict. So when you fall, don't let it break your spirit. Don't listen to the critics. Don't let the doubt creep in. Instead, remind yourself that this is just part of the journey. Every champion has fallen, but only true champions rise again. Your story isn't over. Your comeback is waiting. Now, get up and go claim it. Losing is a lesson, not a defeat. Most people fear losing. They see it as something to avoid, something that defines them as weak or unworthy. But the truth is, losing is not failure, it's feedback. It's not the end of the road, it's the beginning of your growth. When you lose, you learn. You learn where you need to improve, what mistakes you made, and what it truly takes to win. Every loss carries a lesson, and those who study their losses become unstoppable. The only real defeat is refusing to learn from failure. Think about it, some of the greatest champions in history didn't win right away. They lost. They struggled. They faced rejection. But instead of giving up, they studied their failures like a blueprint. They asked, what did I do wrong? Where can I be better? How do I make sure this never happens again? And then they went back to work. See, losing is only permanent if you let it be. If you quit, if you let it break your confidence, then yes, you've been defeated. But if you take that loss, break it apart, and use it to sharpen your skills, then it becomes your greatest advantage. So the next time you lose, don't hang your head. Lift it high. Look that loss in the face and say, thank you for the lesson. Now watch what I do next. Because true winners aren't the ones who never lose, they're the ones who refuse to be defeated. Pain and struggle are signs of growth. If you're feeling pain, if you're struggling, if the road is hard, that's not a sign to quit. That's a sign you're growing. That's a sign you're pushing past limits, breaking barriers, and stepping into a stronger version of yourself. Growth doesn't happen in comfort. Strength isn't built when things are easy. Every muscle in your body grows because of resistance. Every skill sharpens through trial and error. Every champion is forged in the fire of struggle. Think about a seed planted in the ground. It has to push through the dirt, through the pressure, through the darkness before it can rise. The same goes for you. The pain you feel, that's your transformation. The struggle you're facing, that's proof you're moving forward. Most people run from pain. They see struggle and back down. But those who embrace it, those who understand that pain is the price of greatness, are the ones who rise. They know that every hard moment, every tough lesson is making them stronger, sharper, and more prepared for success. So when it hurts, don't stop. When the struggle feels overwhelming, don't retreat. Remind yourself, this is not breaking me, this is building me. Every ounce of pain, every drop of sweat, every challenge is shaping you into something greater. Keep pushing, keep fighting, because the struggle you're going through today is preparing you for the success that's coming tomorrow. Critics and doubters don't define you, your response does. In this world, you will always have critics, people who tell you that you're not good enough, not strong enough, not talented enough. Doubters who will look at your dreams and laugh, who will say you'll never make it. But let me tell you something, the words don't define you. Their opinions don't control your destiny. The only thing that matters is how you respond. See, you have two choices when faced with criticism. You can let it break you, or you can let it build you. You can let that doubt sink into your mind, or you can use it as fuel to prove them wrong. Every champion, every legend, every great name in history was doubted at some point. People told them they weren't good enough. People counted them out, but instead of listening, they kept working. They let their success do the talking. Because that's the secret. You don't fight critics with words. You fight them with results. You don't argue with doubters. You outwork them. You don't let their negativity pull you down. You rise so high that they have no choice but to watch in silence. So the next time someone doubts you, don't waste your energy proving them wrong with words. Prove them wrong with action. Keep grinding, keep pushing, keep rising, because in the end, it's not their words that define you, it's what you do in response. Use failure as motivation, not an excuse. When you fail, you have two choices. You can let it break you, or you can let it drive you. You can use it as an excuse to quit, to stay down, to blame the world, or you can use it as fuel to push harder, train smarter, and come back stronger. See, most people make failure their excuse. They say, I tried, but it didn't work. I wasn't meant for this. It's too hard. And just like that, they give up on their dreams. But champions don't let failure stop them. They let it push them. Failure should light a fire inside you. It should make you hungry. It should make you look in the mirror and say, All right, I fell. Now, what am I going to do about it? Because that's what separates winners from quitters, the response to failure. Think about the greats, the ones who reached the top. None of them had an easy road. They failed, they stumbled, they faced rejection. But instead of using failure as an excuse, they used it as motivation. They trained harder. They studied their mistakes. They came back with something to prove. So the next time you fail, don't complain, don't run, don't make excuses. Take that pain, that frustration, that disappointment, and turn it into fuel. Let it drive you. Let it remind you why you started. Let it push you past your limits. Because failure is not a stop sign, it's a challenge. And the real question is, are you going to let it stop you, or are you going to rise and show the world what you're made of? Success tastes sweeter when you fought for it. Anyone can dream of success. Anyone can wish for it, talk about it, or admire those who have it. But the ones who truly taste success, the ones who feel it in their bones, deep in their soul, are the ones who had to fight for it. See, success means nothing if it's handed to you. If there's no struggle, no sacrifice, no blood, sweat, and tears, then it's just a trophy with no meaning. But when you've been through the fire, when you've taken the hits, when you've fallen and still found the strength to rise, that's when success is worth something. That's when it's earned. Because every late night, every early morning, every moment of doubt you push through, every pain you endured, it all makes the victory sweeter. It's not just about winning, it's about knowing how much you had to go through to get there. Think about a fighter in the ring. If he wins without struggle, without getting hit, without facing any real adversity, does he really feel like a champion? But if he takes the punches, if he gets knocked down, if he pushes past exhaustion and still stands tall at the end, that's victory. That's a champion. So don't pray for an easy road. Don't wish for success to come without struggle, because it's the fight that makes the reward worth it. It's the journey, the grind, the obstacles that make success taste so much sweeter. So when you finally get there, when you finally hold that trophy, wear that medal, see your dreams become reality, every sacrifice, every hardship, every ounce of pain will feel worth it, because you didn't just win. You fought for it. Fear of failure is the real enemy, not failure itself. Failure is not what stops people from succeeding. Fear of failure is. Fear paralyzes. Fear makes you hesitate. Fear keeps you from taking that first step, from pushing beyond your comfort zone, from chasing your dreams with everything you've got. But here's the truth. Failure won't kill you, but fear will. Failure is just a lesson. It's an experience, a moment in time. You can fail and still rise, still grow, still come back stronger. But if fear controls you, you'll never even try. And that's worse than failing. Think about it. Every champion, every leader, every person who's ever achieved greatness has failed. They've stumbled, they've fallen, they've lost. But they didn't let the fear of failure stop them. They took the risk. They stepped into the unknown. They were willing to fail because they knew that failure was just part of the process. But those who let fear win, they never take the shot. They never step into the ring. They sit on the sidelines, watching, wishing, regretting, and regret. That's a pain worse than failure. So ask yourself, what's stopping you? Is it failure or is it fear? Because if you take that leap and fail, you can still get back up, still fight, still improve. But if you never try, you'll never know how great you could have been. We don't let fear be the reason you hold back. Dare to fail, dare to fall, dare to chase greatness. Because in the end, failure is just a stepping stone, but fear is the real enemy. And the only way to beat it is to face it head on. The best way to silence doubters is to prove them wrong. Doubters will always be there. They'll laugh at your dreams. They'll tell you that you're aiming too high, that you don't have what it takes. They'll try to shake your confidence, hoping you'll give up before you even start. But listen to me, you don't silence doubters with words. You silence them with results. You don't need to argue. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to waste your energy trying to convince people to believe in you. Instead, put your head down, do the work, and let your success do the talking. Think about every great champion, every legend, every person who changed the game. At some point, they were doubted. People told them they couldn't do it. They were underestimated, counted out, disrespected. But did they let that stop them? No, they used it as fuel. They trained harder. They worked in silence. They turned every you can't into a reason to prove they could. Because here's the truth, doubters don't matter. Your belief in yourself does. Their words mean nothing when your actions speak louder. So the next time someone tells you that you're not good enough, that you won't make it, don't argue. Don't explain. Just smile, nod, and get to work. Because one day when you're standing at the top, when you've achieved what they said was impossible, the only thing left for them to do will be to watch in silence. The best revenge is success. The best answer is achievement. The best way to silence doubters, prove them wrong. Every setback is a setup for comeback. Life isn't always a straight path. It's filled with twists, turns, obstacles, and challenges. There are times when you feel like you're moving forward, only to get knocked back. You lose. You fail. You face setbacks that seem impossible to overcome. But here's the secret. Every setback is just a setup for a comeback. When you're knocked down, it's easy to feel defeated. It's easy to think that this is the end of the road, that your dreams are out of reach. But in reality, these setbacks aren't stopping you. They're preparing you. They're teaching you lessons you wouldn't learn any other way. They're sharpening your focus, hardening your resolve, and building the strength you need for the next stage of your journey. Look at any great story. Every success has its trials. Every champion has faced moments where it seemed like everything was against them. But the key isn't avoiding those moments. It's how you respond when they come. Setbacks are the moments when you learn what you're truly made of. They force you to dig deep, to rise when everything around you is trying to bring you down. And it's this strength, this resilience that leads to the most powerful comebacks. A setback doesn't define you. It doesn't mean you're finished. It's a temporary pause, a lesson in disguise. It's a moment where you get to decide, are you going to let it stop you, or are you going to use it as fuel to come back even stronger? The most incredible comebacks happen when everything seems lost. When the world has counted you out and written you off, that's when you rise. That's when you show up and prove that no setback is too big to overcome. So the next time you face a setback, don't see it as a defeat. See it as an opportunity. See it as the universe giving you the chance to rebuild, to come back more powerful, more focused, and more unstoppable than before. Every setback is a setup for a comeback, and your comeback is going to be legendary. Greatness is forged in struggle. Greatness doesn't come from comfort. It doesn't come from living a life free of challenges or obstacles. Greatness is forged in struggle. It's born from the fire of adversity, the pressure of trials, and the pain of pushing past your limits. When everything is easy, when the road is smooth, when you're on cruise control, it's tempting to think you've made it. But that's not where greatness is born. Greatness is forged in the struggle. It's built in the moments when you feel like giving up, when the weight is too heavy, when every step forward feels like an impossible task. Think about metal being shaped. To become something strong, it has to go through extreme heat, be hammered, pressed, and twisted into its final form. Without that struggle, that resistance, it remains weak, pliable, just an ordinary piece of metal. The same is true for you. It's through the hardships, the losses, the failures, and the battles that you become who you're meant to be. Each challenge is a lesson, each obstacle an opportunity to grow stronger. Every struggle builds your character, strengthens your resolve, and sharpens your focus. Look at the greats, the legends, the champions, the leaders. None of them were handed greatness. They were made by the struggle. They endured, fought, and persevered. They learned how to rise after every fall. They faced rejection, defeat, and disappointment, but they never let those moments define them. Instead, they used them to fuel their rise. So the next time you're facing a tough moment, don't run from it. Don't shy away from the struggle. Embrace it. Understand that this is where your greatness is being shaped. This is where you're being tested, where your true strength is emerging. Greatness isn't given, it's earned, and it's forged in struggle. So don't be afraid of the fight. Don't fear the obstacles. Know that each battle you face is an opportunity to become stronger, better, and closer to the greatness that lies within you. You don't lose when you fail, you lose when you quit. Failure is not the end. It's not the moment where you've lost for good. In fact, failure is an essential part of success. It's part of the process. The true loss comes when you give up, when you stop fighting, when you quit before you've given everything you've got. Failure is just a setback. It's a lesson, a stepping stone that brings you closer to success. Every time you fail, you learn something new. You learn where you went wrong, what you can improve, and what it takes to win. But if you quit after failing, you rob yourself of those lessons. You stop learning, you stop growing, and you stop progressing. That's when you truly lose. Think about it, how many people never achieve greatness because they quit too soon. They face one failure, one setback, and they throw in the towel. But the ones who make it, the ones who rise above, are the ones who keep going. They understand that failure is a part of the journey, not the final destination. Every time they fail, they pick themselves back up, adjust, and keep moving forward. The key to success is not in avoiding failure, it's in fighting through it, it's in refusing to quit. Every successful person you look up to has failed at some point. They've stumbled, they've faced rejection, they've encountered obstacles that seemed insurmountable, but they didn't stop. They didn't let failure define them. They kept going, kept working, kept fighting for their dreams. So, remember this, you don't lose when you fail, you lose when you quit. Keep pushing, keep striving. Every failure is just a chance to come back stronger. And if you keep going, success is inevitable. Train harder, work smarter, and push beyond your limits. Success isn't handed to you, it's earned. And it's earned through consistent effort, relentless determination, and a willingness to push yourself beyond what you thought was possible. Train harder, work smarter, and push beyond your limits. Training harder doesn't just mean more hours in the gym or more repetitions at practice. It means giving everything you got in every single moment. It means pushing through the fatigue, the discomfort, and the temptation to stop when things get tough. It's about pushing yourself to do that extra rep, to run that extra mile, to dig deeper than you ever have before. When you train harder, you increase your capacity for greatness. You create a foundation so strong that no challenge can break you. But working harder isn't enough. You also have to work smarter. You can't just work endlessly without direction. You need to approach your goals with strategy, focus, and wisdom. Success isn't just about how much effort you put in, it's about how you direct that effort. Analyze, learn, improve, and optimize your approach. Take the time to refine your skills, your knowledge, and your game plan. You need to be deliberate in your actions, finding ways to work more efficiently, to make every effort count, and to eliminate the waste. When you work smarter, you gain more without exhausting yourself unnecessarily. And then the final piece, push beyond your limits. Your limits are not a permanent boundary, they're a challenge. Every time you think you've reached your limit, push just a little further. The magic happens when you go past the point where your mind wants to quit. That's when growth happens. The only way to know your true potential is to push through what you think are your limits. Push through the moments of doubt, the pain, the tiredness. When you push beyond your limits, you discover new strengths, new capabilities, and a new level of power within you. Success isn't easy. It takes relentless effort, intelligent strategy, and a refusal to accept anything less than your absolute best. But when you train harder, work smarter, and push beyond your limits, there's nothing you can't achieve. Your potential is limitless, and it's up to you to unlock it. Smile in the face of failure, because it's bringing you closer to victory. Failure is often viewed as the enemy, the thing we should fear, the thing that tells us we're not good enough, that we've fallen short. But that's only one side of the story. Failure is not something to dread, it's something to embrace. When you fail, you're not defeated. You're learning, you're growing, you're being shaped into a stronger version of yourself. And that's why you should smile in the face of failure. Because every failure brings you one step closer to victory. Imagine a boxer in a ring. Every punch he takes, every hit, every setback, he's not losing, he's learning. He's adjusting his strategy, finding his weaknesses, building his endurance. He's getting closer to his ultimate goal, even when things seem tough. The same goes for you. Every time you fail, you gather new insights about yourself, your approach, and your goals. Each failure is another opportunity to refine your strategy, to get better, to rise above. When you face failure with a smile, you're showing the world, and more importantly, yourself, that you are not defined by setbacks. You are defined by how you rise after them. You're showing that no obstacle can break your spirit. No disappointment can stop your progress. You understand that every no is getting you closer to a yes, and every setback is preparing you for a comeback. The most successful people in the world are the ones who have failed the most. Why? Because they never saw failure as a roadblock. They saw it as a lesson, a necessary step in the journey towards success. And with each failure, they smiled because they knew that victory was just on the other side. So, the next time you face a setback, don't hang your head. Don't let the failure defeat you. Instead, smile because you know you're one step closer to success. Smile because you know the lessons you're learning today will bring you victory tomorrow. Failure isn't the end, it's part of the journey, and it's bringing you closer to your victory. Failure is not your weakness, it's your fuel. When you face failure, it's easy to feel like you're broken, like you're not enough, like you've reached the end of the road. But here's the truth, failure is not your weakness, it's your fuel. Failure doesn't define you unless you let it. It doesn't make you weak, it makes you stronger. When you fail, you gain something invaluable, the knowledge of what doesn't work, the insight into where you need to grow. You gain wisdom, resilience, and experience, all of which power your next move forward. Failure is the spark that ignites the fire inside you. It fuels your determination to get better, to do better, to never quit. Think about the most successful people you admire. How many of them achieved greatness without facing failure? None. They all failed at some point, many times in fact, but instead of letting it defeat them, they used failure to fuel their ambition, their perseverance, and their drive. They took the lessons, the pain, the disappointment, and transformed it into relentless motivation to keep going. Failure pushes you to evolve. It forces you to re-evaluate, to adjust, to grow in ways you wouldn't if everything came easy. Every time you fail and get back up, you get stronger. Every setback builds your resilience. Every mistake teaches you something new that makes you better than you were before. Without failure, there's no progress. Without failure, there's no real growth. It's through those moments of struggle that your true strength is revealed. Failure doesn't make you weak, it forces you to rise. So instead of running from failure, use it. Let it fuel your next move. Let it drive you to work harder, to work smarter, to keep pushing when others would give up. Every failure brings you one step closer to where you want to be, and the harder you embrace it, the closer you get to your goals. Failure is not your weakness, it's your fuel. Embrace it. Let it push you. Let it drive you, and watch how far it takes you. In the end, success isn't a straight path. It's a journey paved with challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt. But remember, every failure, every struggle, every setback is simply a step toward greatness. The key is not to fear the fall, but to rise stronger each time. When you embrace failure as a lesson, when you use it as fuel, and when you refuse to quit, nothing can stand in your way. Keep pushing, keep striving, and keep believing in the champion within you, because in the end, you don't lose until you stop trying. So rise and show the world what you're truly made of. Your victory is waiting.